I never thought I'd be telling a story like this. If someone had told me a year ago that my marriage would crumble in a single evening over dinner, I would have laughed it off. Emily and I were the couple everyone envied. We had our routines, our little rituals. Sunday brunches, late-night movies, silly arguments over who left the light on. But that night, our anniversary, was when I realized just how far apart we'd grown, and how I'd ignored the signs staring me in the face. We met 9 years ago in college. She was magnetic, confident, charming, witty. I was drawn in immediately. We clicked over late-night study sessions and coffee runs. What began as friendship quickly grew into something real. When I proposed 3 years later, she cried before I even finished asking. Our wedding was small but perfect, and for a while things were just good. We built a life together, shared dreams, inside jokes, that unspoken comfort that comes from knowing someone inside out. But over the past year something changed. And for a long time I convinced myself it was just work stress or burnout. Anything but the truth. Started subtly. Emily began spending more time at the office. I work long hours too, I get it, but she stopped coming home for dinner, started sleeping with her phone face down. She'd smile less. Conversations became transactional. I'd ask how her day was and she'd say, fine, without ever really saying anything. She wasn't cold exactly, just distant. First I thought I was overthinking it. People go through phases. But the little things started to stack up. One night, I found a receipt from a downtown bistro, one we'd never been to. It was tucked into her coat pocket, dated on a night she said she was working late. I asked her about it casually, and she barely blinked, said it was a team dinner. You'd hate that place, she joked. Too expensive and too much truffle oil. I let it go. I didn't want to be the insecure husband questioning every move. But the doubt lingered. She started going out on weekends too. Just meeting Claire for drinks. Or running errands. The weird part was she became more affectionate during the day. Random kisses on the cheek, playful texts, like she was trying to mask the distance with scattered moments of closeness. I couldn't decide if she was pulling away or holding on. Then came our anniversary. I honestly thought it might be a turning point. Emily told me she had something special planned. She said, "You've been working hard. Let me take care of this one." I was touched. She picked a high-end restaurant I'd mentioned in passing months ago, a place known for its tasting menu and rooftop view. Said she made reservations for 7 o'clock and that I should meet her there. No need to pick her up. "It's a surprise," she said, winking. I remember spending that afternoon writing her a note. Nothing fancy. Just a handwritten card tucked beside a small silver bracelet I picked out. It had a tiny compass charm, something we joked about when we got lost hiking once. "So you'll always find your way back to me," I'd written inside the card. Sounds cheesy now. Back then it felt heartfelt. I showed up 15 minutes early like I always do. The maitre d' recognized the reservation name and led me to a candlelit table near the back. I ordered a glass of wine and waited. The lighting was warm, the music soft. I kept glancing at the entrance, heart fluttering in that hopeful way. Maybe this was her way of reconnecting, of starting fresh. I remember rehearsing what I'd say. Something light, a toast maybe. To 8 years of madness, laughter, and growing pains. I even imagined her reaction to the bracelet. How her eyes might light up. How we'd laugh and maybe even cry a little. I wanted that moment. Needed it. But looking back, I should have known better. I should have trusted my gut instead of holding on to the version of Emily I remembered, the one I was still in love with, even if she wasn't there anymore. The signs weren't just whispers. They were blaring sirens. And I ignored them because I didn't want the story to end. I didn't know it yet, but that dinner wasn't about reconnecting. It wasn't about love or anniversaries. It was about truth. And truth, when served cold, doesn't need to shout. It just shows up, sits across from you, and dares you to look it in the eye. I sat at the table, nervously swirling the wine in my glass, watching the entrance like a hopeful idiot. Every time the door opened, my heart jumped. It was a strange feeling, being nervous on your own anniversary. After all these years, you'd think I'd feel at ease, grounded in familiarity. But something felt off. I told myself it was just the anticipation, maybe the pressure of wanting things to feel special again. Then I saw her. Emily walked in wearing a navy blue dress I hadn't seen before. Sleek, elegant, the kind she used to save for really special occasions. She looked stunning. For a moment, all I felt was relief. But that feeling shattered in the next second when I noticed she wasn't alone. There was a man beside her. Tall, clean-cut, confident stride. He was smiling, leaning slightly toward her, whispering something that made her laugh, too loudly for someone arriving to a dinner with her husband. My smile froze. My hand clenched the base of the wine glass. I watched, unmoving, as they walked toward my table. She saw me and her eyes widened for a split second. Not the warm recognition I expected, more like panic. Then she quickly recovered, forcing a bright smile. "Jake, you're early," she said, voice too high, too rehearsed. I stood slowly. My eyes darted from her to the man and back. "Hey," I said. My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. "This is Brandon," she continued, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "He's my coworker. I thought it would be fun to have him join us for dinner. I wanted to surprise you." She smiled again, but it didn't reach her eyes. Brandon extended his hand. "Nice to meet you, man. Emily's told me a lot about you." I shook it out of reflex, numb. "Did she?" I said, sitting back down slowly. My mind was spinning. This was our anniversary. Who brings a third wheel to something so intimate, especially unannounced? They sat across from me. Emily to my right, Brandon across. The waiter came and began taking orders, oblivious to the invisible storm building at the table. I barely looked at the menu, just pointed at something, anything. I couldn't taste a thing anyway. As the courses came and went, so did the laughter. But not mine. Brandon and Emily chatted like old friends, sharing inside jokes and stories from work. She leaned in when he spoke, touched his wrist lightly when he made her laugh. It wasn't just familiarity, it was intimacy. The kind of body language you can't fake. The kind that's earned over stolen moments and secret confessions. At one point, Brandon mentioned a business trip they'd taken together a few weeks back. Emily glanced at me quickly, then looked away. I remembered that week. She told me she was going solo, that it was just a quick seminar. I remember bringing home takeout and watching TV alone. I remember missing her. The air around me felt heavy, like it was pressing in on all sides. I kept staring at my plate, nodding occasionally, pretending to listen. I couldn't look at her. Not without feeling something crack open inside me. Every laugh she gave him felt like a knife. Every glance between them was a wordless betrayal. Then it happened. Emily stood up to go to the restroom. As she turned, Brandon casually placed his hand on her lower back. It lingered. Not by accident. Not in the way strangers do. She didn't flinch. Didn't pull away. She walked off as if it was the most natural thing in the world. I couldn't breathe. I sat there, heart pounding in my ears, stomach twisting. I looked across the table at Brandon, who sipped his wine without a care in the world. I wondered how long this had been going on. I wondered if he even knew I existed before tonight. I stood up. Brandon looked up. "You all right?" I nodded barely. "Yeah. I just need some air." I grabbed my coat and left the restaurant. No scene. No yelling. No demands for explanations. Just a quiet walk out the door, leaving behind the bracelet in its velvet box and the card I never gave her. I walked down the sidewalk, hands shaking, eyes burning, the city spinning around me like it was part of someone else's dream. She said it would be a surprise. She wasn't wrong. I didn't go home right away. I couldn't. I walked for blocks without direction, trying to keep myself from unraveling in the middle of the street. The city felt colder that night, or maybe it was just me. Hollowed out, like someone had scooped out the part of me that still believed in her. Eventually, I ended up at Kevin's place. He opened the door, took one look at my face, and said nothing, just stepped aside and let me in. We sat on his couch in silence for a few minutes before he finally asked, "What happened?" I told him everything. Not just about the dinner but about all of it, the months of distance, the excuses, the gut feeling I kept swallowing. When I got to the part about Brandon's hand on her back, my voice cracked. Kevin clenched his jaw. "Man, that's not just a red flag. That's a damn billboard." He didn't push advice. He didn't rage on my behalf. He just sat there, letting the silence do what it needed to. Sometimes that's the only thing that helps. Having someone stay quiet while your world recalibrates. It was after midnight when I finally drove home. Her car was in the driveway, lights off inside. I sat in mine for a minute, staring at the front door. Part of me wanted to turn the key and keep going, just disappear from this entire mess. But I knew I had to face it. I walked in quietly. The house was dark, still too quiet. Then I saw her on the couch. She was curled up, still in the same dress, her makeup smudged like she'd been crying. When she looked up and saw me, her face crumbled. "Jake." I didn't speak. She stood, taking a step toward me. "Please. Let me explain." I shook my head slowly. "You don't need to explain. I saw enough." Her eyes welled up. "It wasn't supposed to happen like that. He wasn't supposed to come to dinner. I didn't plan." "Then what was the plan, Emily?" I interrupted, my voice flat. "Was I supposed to celebrate our marriage while you passed glances with the guy you've been sneaking around with?" Her lip trembled. "I made a mistake." I laughed quietly, bitterly. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. This was a choice. Over and over again. And you chose him." She covered her face with her hands, sinking onto the edge of the couch. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I just felt alone. And Brandon was there. He listened. We started talking more. And I didn't realize where it was going until it already went too far," I finished for her. She nodded, silent tears streaming down her cheeks. For a second I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "I have one question," I said. "Why bring him? Of all nights, why tonight?" She looked up, ashamed. "I thought, if you saw us together it would make things easier. I didn't have the courage to tell you." My chest tightened. "So you thought humiliating me at dinner would save you from a hard conversation?" She didn't answer. I stood there, feeling something shift inside me. The pain was still there, raw and ugly, but beneath it was clarity. Couldn't fix this. I couldn't unsee it. And I couldn't be with someone who didn't respect me enough to tell the truth before bringing her affair partner to a table meant for two. I went upstairs, packed a small bag, and walked out the door without another word. The next few weeks were a blur. I stayed with Kevin for a while. We talked some nights, sat in silence on others. I went to work, kept my head down, told as few people as possible. Emily texted, called, even showed up once at my office, but I couldn't face her. Not yet. Eventually I started seeing a therapist. I didn't want to carry this into the next chapter of my life. Didn't want this betrayal to become part of my identity. I needed to process it, to grieve it, but also to let it go. Months passed. I moved into a new place. Smaller, quieter. There's no anniversary dinner marked on my calendar anymore. But there is a small box on my dresser with a silver bracelet and an unopened card inside. I haven't decided what to do with it. Maybe I'll keep it. Maybe I won't. What I do know is this. Betrayal doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers over candlelight and wine, wearing a smile. Sometimes it looks like love until it doesn't. But walking away, that was mine. My choice. My beginning. And for the first time in a long while, I'm not waiting for a surprise. I'm making peace with the truth.